Good morning, good people. You are now tuning to Let's Talk About It. I have one of my good friends on with me, Coach Perry Woolbright. What's happening, Coach?
How we doing, man? It's great to see you.
Good, man. Listen, I want to go ahead and let people know the reason why we started this show, Let's Talk About It, is right now we're going through a crisis with, everything's changing and these kids are looking for guidance, parents and everybody. And I'm trying to use my network and resources of the people that I know that's really engulfed in it and inside of, the sports world. And you being one of those guys that's not only a head coach, but also an administrator, an athletic director, and you're at the core of all of it because, nothing moves in the sports world, not just football, but in the sports world without, going through you. So kind of like the gatekeeper. And my biggest thing right now is we're trying to find a roadmap to help guide these parents, kids, along the way so they can have a great experience with the tragedies that we've been going on with this, with the time today. So you're in South Carolina, Coach, and I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself, short bio, let them know where you coached at, and go from there, and then we'll get this show kicked off.
Yeah, man. Again, appreciate you having me on. I'm Perry Woolbright. I coach right now at Lexington High School, which is a 5A school right outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Kind of started my coaching career that last year at kind of with my injuries and stuff like that. Coach Moore came to me and asked if I kind of want to be a student coach that last year, and I did that, and of course enjoyed that, and kind of always knew I wanted to go in coaching. Kind of when we got done with that 05 season, with graduating, so I took a OC job at Fort Dorchester High School in Charleston, South Carolina. Did that for a year, actually about 8 months, but I always knew I kind of wanted to get the taste back in college. So I was offered a OC recruit coordinator job at a D2 school in North Carolina, Chowan University. Did that was up there about a little over a year. My head coach left after that spring of the first season I was up there, and they offered me the head job, and I thought about it, and I was 23 at the time. We had 4 scholarships to sign a full football team with, and just didn't feel like it was the right time for me to take over a program like that. So came back to South Carolina and took OC job at Gaffney High School, which is the winningest high school in state of South Carolina. They've won 17 state championships in the history school. So was there for 2 years, played in 2 upper state championships there. And then once I got done with my second season there, kind of talked to my dad. My dad was head coach in the state for 35 years, and so was my granddad. So told him I was ready. I told him I thought I was ready to be a head coach, and he agreed. And so, but he kind of gave me some good advice. He said, Perry, you played at Appalachian State. You helped up there. I said, you've been at Fort Dorchester. And when I was at Fort Dorchester, we had a guy named Carlos Dunlap that's with the Bengals, or actually he's with Seattle now. We had Robert Quinn, who's in the NFL. So we had really good talent and stuff like that. He said, you've been at Gaffney. Gaffney, we had loaded with Division I players. And he said, you need to go find a school that's a rebuilding job and find out how you can really coach. Because, at the end of the day, the X's and O's, when you got really good players, don't have to be on point. The saying goes, get them on the bus and get them to the game. You got a chance to win. And when I was at Fort Dorchester and Gaffney, it was like that. If we arrived at the game, we had a good chance to win. We just had to get them in the right places. So I took over North Myrtle Beach program from there. When I took that job in the last 50 years, they'd only had 5 seasons over 500. So it was definitely a rebuilding job. Went through my first two years, and a lot of people don't know about me, and sometimes surprised I'm still a head coach. I went 0-20 in my first 2 seasons as a head coach. Definitely went through times of questioning myself, thinking, well, maybe I ain't a good coach if I ain't got good players. But there was a process going wrong. My first season, probably had 23 returning players off the previous team that decided not to come back because we changed the standards and expectations of what it meant to be a football player in our program at that school, when it becomes summertime, to the classroom, to behavior. And a lot of them couldn't get on board with that. So started real young, played a bunch of freshmen in the first 2 years. Third year, we went 5-5, which was kind of a big turnaround. It's kind of the start. That in the 4th season, we went 9-3. It was the best record in school history and stuff like that. So we were undefeated in JV. Middle school was undefeated. So kind of all the way down, we kind of got it turned and was heading in the right direction. That off season, we were actually starting spring practice. A guy that was my head coach at Gaffney High School when I was assistant there, he was a longtime head coach at a school called Batesburg-Leesville. Again, a long tradition. They've won 8 state championships. And their head coach had just left, and he called me. He said, "Hey, they called me about this job, but I'm not interested in it." He said, "But I gave you your name." And I kind of grew up back that way toward Batesburg-Leesville when my dad was head coach at another school up that way. And I said, "Yeah, I'll come talk to him." So I went out there and talked to him and kind of fell in love with the place and stuff like that. So I took that job and was there for 3 seasons. First 2 seasons, won 10 ball games, won 2 region championships, and then lost in the semifinals in the second season. Third season, made it all the way to the state championship. Actually has the 4th seed out of our region. Kind of went on the road for 4 weeks, and then that was kind of that flood year. I don't know if you remember when we had that great flood that kind of came through, and it shut us down for a while. We actually played. It was probably the longest season I've been playing. We started our first practice July 27th, and we played in the state championship game December 18th. And so it was a long season. That season ended, and we were heading in the right directions. And things happen for a reason. One of my good friends growing up, he was head coach at Lexington High School where I'm at now, and he took kind of, I guess through my guidance and talking to him, he took the running back job with Coach Elliott at Georgia State, because I called Coach Elliott for him and stuff like that, and he just happened to take that. Well, his principal kind of knew my dad because my dad actually taught her in high school. Well, they kind of gave me a call and said, "You come interview for this job." And I lived up by Lexington High School and stuff like that, and knew about the tradition of great school, great athletics. So I figured I'd go talk to him, and I did. And just to speak with my family with a great school and stuff like that, ended up taking this job. So I've been here the last 4 seasons, and enjoyed every bit, and enjoyed being the AD part of it too.
Now, right now, let's take it back, App State, you feel me? Now, being, in your position as a quarterback, you had 2 great guys, in front of you. You had, first of all, when I was there, you had Joe Pritchett, and then you had Richie Williams. And and then you had some other guys. But the funny thing was, I tell you no lie, every day I saw you came out with a smile on your face, and it was like, bro, like, and you sit up and you ask yourself, first of all, I'm from Florida, it's already cold up here, I do not like it. I don't want to come up here like this. And then we sitting up here, and it's this old turf we playing on, and you got a smile on your face, and not to criticize anything, but playing third string, and going through the program, a winning program, because one of the things that I was blessed with, and then it seemed like you was blessed with as well, is you've been at a level of winning consistently. So when I was at App, we had a Coach Moore, and a great mentor, great coach, built a strong program, and it was a winning program. So I took one of my hardest losses this year, and I got beat the worst I ever been beat in any sport. And it made me do a reality check on, what's the real value of the sport that we play, and the reason behind doing everything that we're doing. So having you sit up here, go through that injury, then sit up here and put your pride aside and look at the bigger picture, coaching. How was that, man? Just transitioning, because I'm gonna tell you, like Coach Elliott came to me and was like, "Hey, Leighton, this year, last year, because when I pulled my hamstring up there and stuff, and things didn't work out, he was like, you need to come be a graduate assistant." I was like, yeah, whatever. And I went out there for a little bit. I was out there with you guys for a little bit, but it wasn't me. I was like, nah. I'm chucking up the deuces. You know what I'm saying? And then I come and see you, man, and then, you having some winning that's going on, and then being in the position that you're in right now, man. Just how did you, what did you take from all those years behind those great guys, being in that program, and being, athletic director and a head coach? What do you do? How do you transition that from, college days?
I think the biggest thing, and is everybody at some level, you're not going to be the guy. If we're playing in college and high school, at some point we were the guy.
Yeah.
And then when you go to college, and every year I wanted to compete. Me and Richie came in at the same time, and from day one we became best friends.
Right.
And we really didn't care. I can remember our freshman year, everybody was hurt, and we traveled to Marshall. And Joe was hurt that week. And me and Richie were the only two quarterbacks stressed out. We roomed together, trapped for 5 years. We roomed together every trip. And we were scared shitless going into that game.
Oh, all of us.
And we were,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean.
Leftwich came out and told us at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
He said it's over with.
Oh, it was done. They got them old ladies spitting at you when you come out up there. So, but, and it never bothered me, that because I knew Richie was the guy, and I was always, and I don't know if it's growing up, as a dad and with the coach and growing up around his team, I was always the team guy. I wanted to play more than anybody. And, of course, there's moments when I get my butt on my shoulders to myself about, why is it not me? But, I knew whatever it took to help the team. And I think the big part of it that I learned from up there, and then I kind of take in my program now, because I'll go over a minute. We kind of actually have an award we give weekly for this. Is I never felt like I wasn't part of the program.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ever feel like I wasn't helping the team. Even during my first couple of years on scout team with Coach Jones telling you to run top of the bleachers and jump off, Coach Moore. Yes, piss in the wind, and Coach Moore, never made you not feel part of the program and stuff like that. And I actually, when Coastal Carolina opened up their program, I guess that was my sophomore year, their head coach knew my dad and reached out and said, "Hey, we need some quarterbacks. Would Perry want to transfer down here?" And so I was like, "Well, but back to South Carolina, starting a new program. They we'll put him on scholarship and stuff." And at the time, I was still just a walk-on and paying out-of-state tuition. And I had to the end of that year, my parents gave me to the end of that year to earn some scholarship money, or I wasn't going to be able to stay. So I went to Coach Moore and said, "Coach Moore, I know I can't go visit." So he said, "Perry, no." He said, "You go visit that school, you talk to them, and then you come back and talk to me." So I went down there, visited Coastal, liked it, and kind of came back and thought I had my mind made up. I said, I think that's what I want to do. So I went back and sat down with Coach Moore and said, "Coach, I think that's what I'm going to do." He said, "Perry, let me ask you this." He said, I don't want to lose you. He said, I'm gonna put you on half scholarship. And he said, "You're a valuable part of this program." And he said, "Whether you're taking every rep on Saturday or you're taking no reps on Saturday, what you bring to this program is more important than anything." He said, "I would like you personally to stay." And I walked back out, called my dad, said, "Dad, I ain't leaving, staying here." And that was it. And I think you can learn a lot from that, because a lot of people, and especially now in this me generation we're going through, it's about me. If it ain't about me, if the play's not about me, if I'm not getting the highlight, we don't care.
Right.
And so trying to instill that in kids, and you don't realize how much impact you have on people. A guy that you would never know, Dale Jones up there, and we all went through Coach Jones. I've heard of him, but about a month ago, I hired a guy that was as my D coordinator, that was his student coach several years ago and stuff. I called Coach Jones, and he talked to me like we've been best friends for the last 15 years. Yeah. So I mean, that relationship. So I kind of took that into coaching with me. I try to make every player on our team feel like they got a role. And I talk to them every day. And our kids say, "We don't win Friday night because there's 11 on the field on each side of the ball. We win because of what because we'll carry our program. I got 150 kids in our program. So on a Friday night, we'll dress out 58 kids. And so, so we'll explain to them kids, a lot of them kids won't see the field all year because, a lot of games we're outmatched. So we have to battle to win games. So a lot of our games are close. So them kids are put out, we try to emphasize how important their role is. We actually it's called at our school, we're the Wildcats. So it's a Wildcat Award. When I was at Batesburg, it was the Panther Award and North Emergency Chief Award. But every Friday at our pregame meal, I give the Wildcat Award. And what that goes to is the player during that week that exhibited the best attributes to make sure our team was getting better going. Most of the time, this goes to a player that doesn't play. It might be just a special teams player, or he might not play at all. But during the week, he did everything possibly he could do to make sure his teammates were ready to play. And then at the end of the year, we give our biggest award is that award. We give it to the player that all year did whatever it took. It didn't matter what we asked them to do or it didn't matter how much they played, but they were there for the team.
Jump off the top flight. We got you. He jumped. We got you. You got that award,
Yep.
brother.
Yep.
So, one of the things that hit home with me when you was talking about Coach Moore and when he brought you in the office, Coach Moore was, and I'm a second that. Coach Moore was one of those guys that I get, my cheerleading spirit from that guy, because he had his guys in place, and App was a well-tuned machine, at the time when we got there. We had our trainer, Tommy, we had, our offensive coordinator that we dealt with at that time, and Coach Moore was just kind of like the big cheerleader, because I remember, no lie to you, when I was there coming in as a junior, and I was supposed to be this high guy, and I couldn't catch a deep ball to save my life.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that? And everybody was picking at me. I'm running past everybody, burning everybody, but I couldn't catch a deep ball. And this is my signature trait. Like, this is what I do. And Coach Moore literally sent everybody in, and me and him stayed out the practice and worked on catching the deep ball. And the funniest thing ever, I'm in the record books with that. We come back and we play ECS or whatever, and Joe Burchett throw it up, and I got the longest go ball entry, and it was one of the deals where you got, not history. They got, I'm sure them kids done broke it by now, but it was one of those deals like he took time to step outside of his high horse to make sure my mental was good so we can perform well as a team, because it takes a lot to have that many kids, because you got 150. And it takes a lot to make sure that these kids are getting exactly what they need. And you right now, being an athletic director, being a head coach, 150 kids, you know what I'm saying? During this time, man, how are you organizing this? And you have a family on top of that. How are you organizing this and having, because I truly believe sports and football, you know what I'm saying, mainly, because this is what we do, is a place, a therapeutical place for, young men to come, you know what I'm saying, and express themselves. So I want to know, how are you, you know what I'm saying, adjusting with what we got going on, and how's your program had to change, you know what I'm saying, with what we got in these times right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've been kind of consistent every year about is, we're a big structure and discipline, and doing it the same way all the time. And I think that's big, because these kids nowadays have so many more freedoms that we had growing up. I couldn't imagine. You can imagine me in college with Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter and all that. I don't know if we'd have had a team at App State at the time.
But let me tell you something, though. I'm going to tell you the difference, though, because football was a lot different. If we did have it, I don't think it would have been in the locker room, because you had, let's be honest, you had cuckoo coaches like Coach Jones that ain't going to have it. You would have talked, and Tommy, but yeah, I feel you.
But so that they have all those freedoms. You got the spectrum. So, which I think is great for me. I've been at schools where we're 50-50, where we got high socioeconomic, low. I've been at Batesburg-Leesville, where 90% of our team is low economic, and 80% of my team were single parent home. At Lexington, now we got kids that live in $1 million houses. And I got a kid I just talked to Friday, because he's missed the last few days of first and second block. He's been living in a hotel room while his mom lines up next apartment for them to stay in. So, you got the spectrum. So they need a place to be consistent. So you got that high end kid, and lots of times with that high end kid, what you get is the parents are so busy in the business world or whatever they do, which is nothing wrong with that, that their kids become their friends. So they don't have that structure of, these are my expectations as a teenager. Mm-hmm. Well, then you got the lower one, to where that mom is working, or maybe it's just the dad, or maybe it's the grandparent, or maybe it's nobody. So they don't have anybody setting boundaries for them. So Then when they come to us, that 8:30 to 3:30 day, that 3:45 to 6:30 practice, I believe that we have to give them the boundaries and show them the wealth they can get from having boundaries and having structure, to hey, if you're not on time, practice starts at 3:45 and you show up at 3:46 to stretch, there's got to be a consequence, and whenever we have moments like that, or if it's a practice where, we get onto them, I'm getting onto them hard, because there are two things we preach to our kids. ETD is a big saying in my program. It's effort, toughness, and discipline, because those are three things that you control. And that's what I tell them all the time. Those are three things you control. Whether you got all the money in the world, no money at all, whether you got everything in the world, you got nothing, you can always control your effort. You can always control your attitude, and you can control your discipline. And whenever we have those moments of practice where or kid's not giving us all, or he's late and we have to give discipline, or if I have to suspend a kid because he did something, I always bring it back to guys, whether it's a senior, junior, whatever. You're about to enter the real world. When you go get that job one day, right now I had to suspend so-and-so, and that's going to hurt us on Friday night. And you're going to hurt your teammates by not being there. But in 5 years from now, when you don't show up for that job on time and you lose that job, now you're going to cost your kids from eating. You're going to cost that house payment and everything like that. So we try to show everything back to how our consequences, when we do have to punish them, or when we set these structures for them, how they relate back to the real world. Because all kids, not just them, even us, they live in the moment. They don't think about it 5, 10 years down the road. They live about what's happening to me right now. Right. And so we try to emphasize everything we do of how this is helping you, how us demanding you to be here on time, how to get your effort, how this is going to pay off for your family. And then, especially when I was at Batesburg, and even my kids now, the ones that don't have that father figure in their life, I talk to them all the time. Somebody's got to break the cycle for your family. Somebody's got to break the cycle for you. Why can't you be that guy? Why can't you be the one to break the cycle and then have that wife? Be there for your kids all the time. And then now your kids see how that great functioning family works. Now he's going to do the same, or she's going to do the same. And now you're breaking that cycle that you've had to go through, because you've already had to go through these tough times. So let's break that cycle and not make it for others like that. So we really stress that. And, we started young. Which I think is big. I don't think if a kid comes into your program as a senior, it's really hard to break him or to get him to what he needs to be, because he's been doing it way so long. So we really start with our middle schools, our 8th grade kids. So starting in January every year, we start bringing over our middle school kids to the high school to work out with us. And that's kind of where we start setting that structure of expectations, things we do. I start doing grade checks once they're in 8th grade, kind of follow them over there, what they're doing. I had to get on 2 of them last week and tell them they're not going to be able to do the first, because we do about 5 days of spring practice with our rising ninth graders. And I told them they couldn't do the first 2 days because of something they did in school over in the middle school, And so now that kid, I'm going to have him, he's going to have a long chain. So if he screws up, we're going to get on to him. We're going to talk to him about it, but he's going to have some leeway to make some mistakes because he's young. That 9th grade year, they're going to kind of already know the expectations. They're going to mess up some, but that chain's going to get smaller. 10th grade year, chain's going to get smaller. But then now they kind of know expectations. So now once they do it as a senior, they've been in our program 4 or 5 years. They know what our expectation is. So they know what the consequence or the result's going to be if they don't. So that's a choice. And then when I explained to them, I said, whenever I have to remove somebody or discipline somebody, it's never something I did. It's a choice you make. So we kind of preach to them about, choices they make can either have a positive aspect or a negative aspect.
And that's like one of the toughest things. So, let's go back to, when you were talking about the difference of, personalities that you have to deal with, now, so let's flip this a little bit. As an administrator, and a head coach, how do you, or do you incorporate your parents into your program? How do you, make sure that they're helping you and helping the program instead of, not and killing the program?
Yeah. And that's a tough aspect. So, we have parent meetings regularly with our parents when actions have to be taken, with our discipline and stuff like that. I keep the parents in the loop and stuff like that of what's going on, so they know the expectation. And that's the tough part, because you kind of get a variety all the time. It's as a coach, it's kind of like being a former athlete. That's why it kind of helps being a coach. It always changes because you're going to have some parents They really don't care. They're not going to be there. They don't really care what happens. You're babysitting their kid. You're babysitting their kid. Don't bother them. Don't bother them. All right. But then you got the ones that are going to be right there at practice every day watching, watching every day, every move. Pretty much waiting for you to mess up and stuff like that. But and then what I always I tell my coaching this way is when you get those parents, if you call them what they are, those crazy parents and stuff like that. I say always remember that kid's got to go home to that. I said so he's having to hear that all the time. So we can't ever worry about what the parent does and stuff like that. We're always here for the kids, and I always tell the parents, I said, I'm gonna make the best decision for your son. I said, not the best decision what you think is for your son. I'm gonna make the best decision what we think is for your son, and not y'all, because and it's tough for the parents is because a lot of them just don't understand, because number one, they see what's happening on social media. Social media ain't always telling the truth. Then now you got these people out in the communities that are the wannabe coaches that think they should have your job and do everything. And now they're telling these parents stuff. And lots of times these parents have grown up with these people, so they don't know any different. So then they start listening to this or they see this stuff. So I mean,
you finna get a lot of bad DMs about that. What you just said.
Yeah.
You know how that is, man. And it's funny that you hit on that. And one of the biggest things that I found out through playing, coaching, youth football, a little bit of college and high school is that these kids are easily influenced, and the person that has the most positive impact on that child's life, because I learned a lot in 2 years short span of time of working with, high school kids, like right there daily, being in control of everything that they had to do. And it was tough because, it's a real juggling act. And you really have to depend on your coaching staff to make sure that, it doesn't become, chaos. So it's always good to have a good team around you because like you said, like, you have those dads that, want to sit up here and spew, their, opinion on everybody. They're going to be in the stands and they're going to be, wherever they can, anybody listening there, they're going to spew their opinion and you have to compete with that. And then, like you said, they have to get in the truck soon as after the practice, after the game. And, you can't be, sideways. Everything you do, you have to stick to your guns and make it real for them. Because at the end of the day, I tell, and I always tell my kids, and I tell my kids this to this day, football is life. And if I sit up here and let you get away with this, then I guarantee you somewhere down the line, it's going to happen to you. It's going to bite you in the butt. And I'm going to tell you like this. I'm telling you from experience. You feel me? I'm not sitting up here sugarcoating anything to you because I done been through it. Having to, coming from app, coming from a mom that was in prison my whole life, then going, to GMC because the test score wasn't there because nobody told me I needed this stuff and I was doing it at the last minute. Then going to app, not having any guidance on why I went to Appalachian State at all, just because they threw the ball a lot. That's the reason why we went, and then having an opportunity to go play professional ball and just not knowing structure at all. Because you talked about one of those kids, that my aunts raised me, my grandparents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, the ones raised me. And you got to understand they have their life at the same time. And me sitting up having to, weed my way through, my coaches was my foundation and was the guidance that I needed because they were the father figures that stayed consistent. You know what I'm saying? One thing I know about all of my head coaches is that practice was never late. Never. You know what I'm saying? When they say practice at 3:00, they gonna be there. Either they staff gonna be there at 3:00, and the practice is never gonna be late. You know what I'm saying? And there was a structure that the foundation was built. Okay, this is the time we set. We come into practice, and that's it. And people don't get that because you have a time where you have to go to work. You feel me? You can clock out when you want to, but You feel what I'm saying? You have to have a time to go to work, and that's where that structure goes. And I was blessed, you know what I'm saying, to be able to make it through, you know what I'm saying, tragedies, you know, situations that I've been through, and then be able to be around guys like you know what I'm saying, to be able to see on social media how, you know what I'm saying, you're getting along in life. Because like I told you at the beginning of this thing, man, like it was amazing, man. You come out to practice, like Coach Nichols already making us catch 100 balls off the slug machine, and you with a smile on your face just throwing the ball. And I'm like, man, this dude is on practice squad and coming out this mall ripping it. You feel me? And it was, you know, that was always that light that drew me towards you, because you don't understand, bro. It was dark times for me when I was at a lot of times, and guys like you, seeing the smile on your face, coming out there and, you know, giving it your all, you know what I'm saying? When you know you're not going to be the one that's going to be starting on Black Saturday. You feel your name don't be called on Black Saturday, and you still was that weak warrior, man. Like you came to practice on time, structure based, because it don't matter if you was on practice squad or whatever. You walked up out of that thing, like get to the top and go piss in the wind. You already know.
Oh yeah.
And so now we sit up here and I look at everything from, you know, academics first to, you know, sports, because sports is our tool to drive them in, you know, to bring them to see what they're going through. And then, you know, as a head coach, I truly feel, you know, that you're that guy to help them on the journey to their path the right way, because somewhere down the line in your life, you made a left. You feel me? And you kind of experienced that where he's going through. And, you know, I had a situation, you were talking about social media, and I truly believe that kids shouldn't show highlights until the mid-season of the season. And the reason why is because then this is my theory. If I'm seeing your highlights, because I'm a coach, man, you know, if I'm playing that kid and I'm trolling, and if I see his highlights and he look like he's something, nah, he gonna really make me watch film and double down on it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what a real coach do. So I had an issue, you know, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, you know, where, you know, it caused some controversy, and I found out that it caused controversy later on that, you know, I told all my kids no posting, no huddle on social media. And I had one kid that did it, and, you know, I don't publicize, you know, what we do. I made him, and I talked to his mother. You know, we had it, you know, talk about it. And he saw me out the practice a lot of times, you know, and he saw me in the morning a lot of times for that situation, because he did it several times. And the kids thought, you know, I wasn't handling that situation, but I was handling that situation. And it caused, you know what I'm saying, strife, you know what I'm saying, in the locker room, because these kids truly believe, like, you know, college coaches are sitting up here trolling over your huddle highlight, you know, and their, you know, and their parents want to boost them so much, and, you know, toot their horn about what little Johnny is doing, and they don't understand the process. And, you know, like right now, we're trying to sit up here and put these kids in the best situation to win. I don't want to give my opponent no ammo. If we're going to give them something, they better go find it. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you know, so I want to know, how do you deal with that situation when it comes to huddle up, you know, and, you know, the social media thing?
You know, our kids, you know, they're going to put their Friday night. I mean, you know, I always watch our films, come home, watch our games right after Friday nights. And it's always funny because, you know, I'll get done about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I'll see some of our players already posting their highlights from that game. So, you know, that it doesn't bother me as much anymore, you know, especially with huddle. I mean, you know, when I play opponent, you know, and I got good relationships with all our coaches in state, and I'll say, you want to trade 3 films, 4 films, 5 films, 6 films. I mean, I don't really care how many games they want, because I'm going to get whatever games I want to see anyway with huddle. I'm going to call a buddy at this school and say, hey, you played so-and-so. Will you send me the film? When I played then, so-and-so, I'm going to send it to you. So, you know, you're going to get the film. You know, I think it's important is kind of having early in the year, number one, explaining social media. You know, we have a rule in our program. Any conduct detrimental to our program or our team could get you removed or suspended any time. And so, you know, that's kind of a broad spectrum. So, you know, anytime, any kids that get on Snapchat, and I tell them, guys, I'm not going to control your social media. I said, I'm not going to control your 24/7. I said, but no, if you put some on Snapchat, you put some on Instagram that's got anything detrimental, where it's a drinking thing, it's a smoking thing, or something like that, or something saying something you want, and it gets back to me, there's going to be consequences. I said, because we're not going to have that in our program. So you got to make sure you got good decisions about that, because I think they need to be able to have social media, but they need to see the consequences when you don't do right. Because, I explained to all my seniors, I said, when you get hired for a job, there's people they pay within that job. They're going to go back 4 or 5 years on your social media and see what you posted. And that can determine what you get that job or not. So I say, if you post that video with the marijuana on there, or you post your drinking thing in there, and that was 5 years ago when you were 17 years old, and you're 23 now, you could still cost you're getting that job.
Right.
So
let's tweak it a little bit. Not even that job, a college scholarship.
Yeah, yes, and colleges have a whole department. Each coach and it's all structured different. So a lot, especially big schools. Each coach has a couple interns underneath them in charge of the kids they're recruiting. And their whole job is to every day see what you post on social media. Are you posting about another school after you've already committed there? Are you posting something that you shouldn't be? Are you retweeting something you shouldn't be? And that's their sole job. They're going to follow you on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, just see that. Because pretty much, getting a college scholarship is like getting a job. They're investing money in you. So they want to know if their investment is going to cost them down the road or not. And, week in, week out, there's kids and college coaches come out. I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like college coaches come out all the time and talk about kids that they end up not taking because of something they posted on social media. Something that's stupid and a lot of it is kids nowadays, I think they struggle knowing how to be a leader. Everybody wants to be a follower. Everybody wants to follow that next big fad. So you'll have kids that are great kids that'll do something stupid just because they're following. I have 3 kids. My oldest one's 16. Last 2 months, he didn't have a cell phone because he did something stupid. It wasn't a big deal, but did something stupid with Snapchat, but it was following what others in the group were doing. And he knew it was wrong, but he didn't because he was following. So that's what I tell people. It don't matter what home you come from. He's got a dad that teaches. He's got a mom that teaches in school. He's going to still make that. He's got structure. I promise you, there's discipline in his house.
That's what we learn, man.
Yeah, so they're good. Yeah, and it don't matter what home they're coming from, whether it's a nothing home or an awesome home. They're going to make decisions. So it's important that they kind of learn from this and what it's about, and it's changing. They're growing up in a different generation than we definitely grew up in. They see things at a younger age than we ever saw because of these things right here. They have access to anything they want. There's access to anything they want. You lucky at app if you had dial-up internet to get anything.
Which apartments you stayed in over there?
Brown Heights.
Yeah, so you already.
Oh yeah,
it was rough.
Yeah. So, it was.
Yeah, so and I'll take that one, with the social media thing, and not say my bad on that one, and then I'm first guy because I did understand, how to way, and what I'm seeing now, especially with the NCAA, changing the rules and regulations of being able to start compensating these kids for their brand likeness, is okay. They're going to use it, so let's guide these kids in the right way. And that's why this summer we have a summer camp coming up with Connect Your Brand, and it's basically going through digital media the right way, and also teaching kids how to talk about their problems, because that's a lot of things that we as adults don't understand. We'll sit up here and we push our motives, our agendas on these kids, but at the end of the day, what do they really want? And we don't sit up here and listen enough. And I watch this podcast, like you say, I watch a lot of podcasts, but one of my favorite ones is I Am Athlete, and Brandon Marshall gets on there every day and he asks his whole team, how are you guys doing from a 1 to 10, financially, mentally, you know what I'm saying? And they gauge themselves. And I think we as coaches and people that's in position where these kids are in, because they are seeing stuff a lot faster than we are. You know what I'm saying? So now let's get ahead of the bullet. Let's start asking these kids what's on their mind. Why did you ask your son? Why did you jump? Do that stupid stuff. You feel me? He already know he's gonna get punished.
Yep.
Why did you do it? So now as adults, administrators, people in positions that these kids look up to make sure that they make the right decisions, we have a better gauge on, how to, and see where they're coming from. So, I didn't mean to throw the summer camp in there, but that's my mission, and that's my big mission here with Let's Talk About It, is just getting, guys like yourself, learning different, methods and ways that you build your program, because you are winning. You've been in a winning program, and you're raising young men to, be, upstanding citizens. Your program is not about, the flash, the superstars, and all this. Your program has structure, and that's what we want people to come to this show, and everything Big Dream does, and understand. We're trying to spread the message of strictly empowering youth, parents, and anybody that don't understand this business, because it's a huge business, and you got to conduct yourself the right way in this business, because your job that you work at, that you get punch in every day, is a business. I don't care what you say, how you look at it, non-profit or profit, it's still a business. So your child that you have, that you hold so precious, is a business walking. And if you don't understand that he needs to represent himself, the family, the school that he attends the right way, then you have issues, and then they start taking that tumble down the rabbit hole like I did, and those 64 months in prison was like, eye-opening, because the Lord could have easily chose for me to just be dead and said, or got away with it, or gave me more time. But he saw fit that wasn't okay. This is what we're gonna give you. We're gonna take you away from everything you love, because at the end of the day, when you look at my situation, it was God that placed me there. You feel me? Because it was a lot of crazy stuff that was involved, and I was an athlete out of control because the guidance wasn't there. And I thought, and I showed the world that I had it all under control on the surface, but I didn't. And then I didn't realize that until I got in prison, had a long time. And then, in prison, it's a big therapy session, because people want to go in there and they want to tell you about, oh, I did this and I did that. And you have to listen, because you ain't got nothing else but time on you. So you listen, and then you start, learning to see and be around guys of your nature. And when you see the guys that's being, doing right and, changing their life around, that's who I start gravitating towards. And their input start guiding me, and mentoring me to start changing there. Not change when you got out. One guy, funny that his name is Copperhead, and you'd be like, Copperhead, he ain't gonna give you no good advice. But he told me, he said, listen, I'm telling you this right now, young brother, I see a light in you. Either you here training yourself to come back to prison, or you training yourself to stay out. And it was something that resonated with me. And it was the first message I got, on my way to, where I was going. And I knew I had to change, because it was people counting on me. It was, I was counting on myself to do right by myself, because I do deserve a better life. And these kids that we're raising do deserve, more to life. They don't need to be here with all this hate, and, with what's been going on in the world this past year, because it's been unbelievable, the negativity that's been spewed out. And in this time of crisis, and you would think people be more loving and more compassionate, but it's not that way, because people are trying to find somebody to point fingers at, because they going through it.
Yep.
And we have go ahead, Coach.
And I think that's why it's more important for kids to be involved in athletics more than ever. Because, when you're on a team, all your background, where you came from, all that, sports are an equalizer. It's an equalizer. I mean, you look at, my still today, my best friends, the people I talk to, are our teammates from out. Yeah. And I mean, think about all the different backgrounds from Zod Kelly, from that still down there in Miami. I mean, I can remember when we went down for spring break.
I still want to catch Zod with a right hook after he terrorized the party.
Yeah, I mean, but I can remember going down, taking him home for spring break down there, and he said, "Perry, you got to drop me off in the street. You can't come down my street." I mean, that's where he came from. Well, I come from a small country town in South Carolina, and we're best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if we could just put our whole world on athletic teams, or let athletes and coaches go run things, we wouldn't. I think a lot of issues would be gone because.
And I'm being honest, yes. Because the thing is, we don't have the opportunity to deal with, racism, what I'm saying? And, the different backgrounds, because we're out here trying to put kids in the best position to win at life, not football, at life.
Yep. No matter where they come from, what they do, what their parents do, what they've done in their past. I mean, because at the end of the day, it really don't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's about what you've done to be successful.
Exactly.
And that's it's all that matters. And you can make excuses for why you're not successful, but at the end of the day, there's only one person to look at, in Chan, because everybody's given the same opportunity. Everybody can make a choice in life, but the choices you make is what you got to decide to live with. And a lot of people don't like the choices they've made, so they got to find somebody else to blame, because it really wouldn't. Can't blame ourselves. I mean, that's what, and as men, sometimes when I look at why weren't we as successful this season, or why wasn't I able to save this kid? Sometimes I got to look at myself. What didn't I do to help this kid more to save him? And stuff like that. And that.
Hold, coach. So now, as a head coach, and one of the things that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I learned from, Georgia military, Estero. We've been there. And then you just said it. I seen head coaches want to fall on the sword for their kid. And you just pretty much said that and take the blame for, how the program's rolling. Now, these days, you have, a lot of guys that's out here perpetrating this game, want to talk about, this, that, and what they got going on, and what, this is what their parents come from. I did this and that. What is your reasoning for being out here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of them's reasoning the problem. I get so frustrated about it. I mean, I've been doing it now, head coach for 11 years. My dad did it 35. My granddad 30. So, my family's been in it for 90 years, vested in the state of South Carolina football. And I get so frustrated. I'm on the football board for our state. But I get so frustrated in our meetings because there's so many coaches nowadays that are starting to ruin this great game that we've created, because it's become about wins and losses. Okay, yes, I want to win more than anybody. I'm more competitive than anybody. Just like an app, I wanted to start more than anybody, but I didn't. And it ain't the end of the world.
Exactly.
Because I became a better person. I think I impacted teammates to make them better people. And that's what's about. A lot of these coaches, they think, I've been 0-20. My first 2 years as a head coach was 0-20. I started my career off 0-20. But our teams got better. Those kids got better. I still nowadays, one of my first quarterback down there, he's now the OC at a Mockley High School down there in Florida, because I called down there for him. So,
yeah, well, listen, and that's right now, Kenny Wigfall put up a comment, and he said, being on the team is networking. And you just said that, your network, being able to have relationships with coaches all around the country, in this great game, because once you become a coach, you join this brotherhood.
Yeah.
And brotherhood, no matter what, when you have that coach in front of your title, in front of your name, people look at you a different way. You have to carry yourself a different way. Like you have to put away the childish things and learn and understand that, you are a grown man and you are being watched, and these kids are going to mimic everything you do. So one of the things, I want to kind of close out with, Coach, is through all the adversity, you know what I'm saying, that you've been through, you know, with, you know what I'm saying, third string, you know, losing, you know what I'm saying, those, you know, 20 games for 2 years, you know, having a family in the process, going from school to school. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing: program to program and different philosophies from here to there is not easy to do. You know, and you know, trying to find that steady home. What did you? What would be your mission statement? Something you stood on, your quote that you say, you know what I'm saying? This is my go-to quote that at the end of the day, when going gets tough, I'm going to live by this.
That I was there to help the kids. You know, every bit in the relationships, you know, with them. You know, I tell when I hire my assistant coaches, you know, I'll tell them all the time, I'm going to hire somebody that's lesser in the X and O's, but better at building relationships than over that person that's great at X and O's, but he can't communicate with kids and he's not there for the kids, you know, because if you're not there for the kids, what are you in it for? I mean, we don't sign $3 million contracts.
Because you ain't, you know that.
No, and you know, I would not have grown up any other way than my dad being a head coach. I mean, my best friends growing up when I was 8, 7, 6, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old were his players. My players' best friends, you know, have been my players. I can remember my middle boy Brody. You know, he kind of gets fired up emotional, and we're playing Saluda High School. I got a really good run back to sign with Charleston Southern when I was down there, but and he had it rough edges and stuff like that. But, you know, he came really close to my family today is. But there's a picture that somebody took in the stands because we lost that game to win a region championship, and my son is boohooing, and he's on the sideline hugging my son, you know, during that game. They come to my kids' rec games, you know, and stuff like that. So, you know, growing up in that environment and letting those people be part of your family, you know, it's more than just the wins and losses, you know, and how you affect somebody. And a lot of times you don't know how you affect somebody 10 years down the road. A quarterback I had at North Myrtle Beach High School that, you know, started for us as a sophomore, then junior year kind of started going down the wrong path, getting involved with drugs and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, "Bud, you've changed, and I know why." I said, and by his senior year, he didn't start for us, you know, and kind of stay on the program, stuff like that, because he wasn't a bad kid. But those things affect him. And, you know, we talked about it, how he's got to get some more structure in life. He joined the military, went to the Marines for 4 years, did his 4 years, he's back, and now he's down in Florida and runs a big brewery down there. And, you know, he thanks me all the time, say, "Coach, you kind of got me on back on the right path," and stuff like that. And you don't know about those stories and stuff, because a lot of times all people hear about, oh, you kicked so-and-so off the team, you know, you don't care about and stuff like that. But it's the stories down the line, and the kids, you know, even as us, you know, like I brought up Coach Jones earlier, you don't realize at the time Coach Jones does care about you. You know, even though he's right, he cares about you just as much as anybody else up there. You know, yeah. And so they don't see that. And I tell them, you know, you have to emphasize that to players, because kids want to know why. You know, and I tell my kids all the time, I said, there's times when you're going to play in this program, you're going to absolutely hate me. You are. But I said, I want you to know I love you all the time, but it's going to pay off for you if you'll stick with it throughout the future. So, you know, relationships is a big part of every program I've been in. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help those kids out. And tough love, you know, that's the part of, I mean, you experienced the last couple of years being a head coach and stuff like that. You know, sitting at the top is not always easy, because, you know, it's a lot easier being an assistant coach. You know, assistant coach, you can go pat them on the butt, you know, you can do other things. But head coach, you kind of got to be that guy, even though you want to go hug them and love them, say, "Man, it's okay. I'm sorry, it's okay," but you got to stick to your discipline. You got to stick to your guns, and they got to see that stuff, because it's going to pay off and run. So it's not always easy. And you know, with what you're doing with the youth stuff, and, you know, I meet with our youth coaches. We do a clinic each year, because those guys are doing it for free, and they can have the best impact, whether that kid sticks with athletics or he gets. Because just like there's good high school coaches and there's terrible high school coaches that are in it for wrong reasons and run kids out of this great sport, it happens at all levels. So I always tell the rec coaches that you're going to have the best impact on these kids, because you're getting them before anybody.
Thank you. And
so you can start changing the direction that they're going in right then and there.
Ding. And that's the beautiful thing. And that's why I started with the babies, because, you know, I truly believe that, you know, adults are kind of like set in their ways. It's kind of hard to convince them, you know, they're going to like you. They're not going to like you. But kids, they have no ill remorse towards you. And, you know what I'm saying, until, you know, they get influenced some way. And it's on you to make that good impression with that child and make sure that, you know, you're pure. Your motive is pure, because a lot of guys go out here, man, and I don't know, because I could never think inside that space, because I tell my kids, you know, I always felt, you know, it was truly, truly big to go around when kids were stretching and just talk to them, how was their day? And I told my kids, don't tell me good, because right now you're telling me, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to try this experience. Ask a kid how their day going. First thing they're going to say, good.
Or fine. Yeah, fine.
Our conversation is not finna end here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build a relationship here. So I constantly harped on the kids, you know, and the funny thing is I catch myself saying it. And then they'd be like, Coach, and then, you know, they were catching me, but it was about building relationships, understanding what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? How was your day? Don't just give me good. You know what I'm saying? And as coaches and individuals, I feel like we need to stop focusing so much on, you know, the X's and O's and try to pull that type of stuff out of these kids. What is going on? How can we help you learn this game better? How's school going? How's the family life? You know, what's your favorite food? You know what I'm saying? Because if you talk to them, it ain't no more guessing.
Yeah.
You know, but if you just don't sit up here and you think you know it all, that's when the guessing starts.
Yeah.
But man, Coach, I appreciate you tuning in, man, and coming on. And good luck in spring. You know, and I promise you, man, we're gonna get together, because I got
definitely.
Yeah, I'm off this season, so I might need some tickets. Come up
there. You go. Anytime, man. Anytime. Sideline pass for you.
Oh yeah. So man, thank you, Coach, man. Listen, love you, man. Tell the friend, man. You know what I'm saying? We in here. All right.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have you ever feeling rejected, neglected, or even dyslexic? Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Wisdom, knowledge, and guidance, we all seeking to find them. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Adversity a part of life, sometimes we fail before we get it right. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. No one is above the other. As brothers, we must uplift each other. Q&A, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.